Welcome to another episode of Ask Dubey. This show is a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use the code NATION. Bet365 must be 19 or older. Now, before we get into any questions, we got to have a little talk about Tristan Jarry's save against the New Jersey Devils. Absolutely outrageous. He's been playing awesome. He played awesome in that game, but this save is incredible. I happened to just talk last week about a very, very similar save that I had first game of the season, 2019-2020 season against Nashville. 2-on-1 pass across, windmill, stack pad, glove save. I'm going to give the Jarry the edge on this. I think his is a little better because he was really in tight, but I just loved everything about this. Goalies, this is something important that you have to be able to play street hockey sometimes, and you have to be athletic. You have to just be able to break out. Everything can't be just robotic and technical. 95% of the time, that's great, but you want to have that athleticism, that game reading ability to make that save. That's exactly what Jarry had here. The pass comes across. He makes a good push across. He's in position. He just makes a great read on that guy as he catches the puck, that he knows exactly where he's going with it. And he's going to shut that down and have a little fun at home while he's doing it and get the crowd going. And he just snatches that thing right out of the air with the barrel roll. I don't even think everybody knew exactly what happened at first. It was that good of a save. Takes a little second delayed, and then the place went absolutely crazy. So unbelievable save. That was fun to watch. What also is fun to watch is both Ingram and Jarry going back and forth right now, giving the Oilers elite level goaltending. Surprising that they didn't get a win, but hey, 2-1, they continue on. It's just been basically shut out to 1 goal to 2 goals. They've been getting elite goaltending, basically going back and forth from both of these guys. So real good look for the Oilers going forward. Love watching it. Love the street hockey saves. Let's get into the questions. All right, first question of the day from Mac Michaud. What was my initial thoughts when traded to Nashville, and what made me initially excited to be a member of the Minnesota Wild? It's a great question, lots of parts. I'll just kind of go through that starting of the trade from Edmonton, because there was a trade to Montreal in between there. And just they're very, very different scenarios, very different feelings. So with the Edmonton thing, it was a tough year. It was stretched out. There was so much trade speculation going on, and even with that, you're just not prepared for it. Edmonton was my only team that I'd been a part of. I started in the NHL there. It's close to home. I love being there. I still naively thought that I was going to continue on being an Oiler, even though looking back, the writing was very much on the wall. But when that call came, it was tough. I can't say there was excitement. I didn't really know what to think. If there was any place to go, I would say that I was excited about Nashville. Obviously, it's a great place to play. It was a great team, great city. I enjoyed being there on the road, and obviously a cool building to play in. And I knew quite a few guys on the team as well. So there was, some excitement or maybe relief knowing that. But it was just a weird trade to get over and get through. I talked before about waking up days and almost forgetting that I wasn't an Edmonton Oiler anymore, and realizing that, no, I can't get traded back there, and no, they're not going to re-sign me in the summer. But we had a house there, so obviously I was going back in the summer. But real mixed emotions. It was tough. It was the middle of a road trip as well. So my wife and our firstborn son were at home, and basically called her and said, I got traded. I'm not coming home. And that was it. There's no plan in place at that point. I'm just not coming home. And then obviously, plans start to take shape at that point and how they're going to get there, but just a lot of unknowns. And my experience in Nashville, I wouldn't say was the best, for different reasons. The team was great. Obviously the city's great, but I didn't play well. Wasn't put in a great scenario to perform, and I didn't perform. So that was a difficult situation. Fast forward, I get traded to Montreal. I was more than ready to be out of Nashville. Pekka Rinne was coming back, And so there was a little bit of excitement there, but that obviously far from panned out as well. I was getting traded to Hamilton Bulldogs is what it was. So moving on to the following year, much different feeling. When I got traded to Minnesota, I kind of knew a trade was coming this time. But again, it happened in January, so it wasn't trade deadline. So the timing caught me off guard, but I was playing better and knew there was not a future for me in Arizona at the time. So I knew there was a potential for trade, and excuse me, had heard about it. And so when the call came, it was still a little bit of mixed emotion because it was so close to that time. It was only a year. It was exactly a year from when I got traded from Edmonton. And so we just settled back into Arizona. We got back into a routine. I was playing well. We enjoyed living there. We had a house. We had our son. We just kind of got back into that. So that side of the trade, knowing that, we're going through this again, I'm packing my bags, I'm leaving, we're going to figure it all out from there. That was a difficult part, but I was excited because I had an opportunity to go not only to Minnesota, who, it's as close to a Canadian city as you're going to get. It's how we grew up. Everybody here plays hockey. The rink was great. The fans were great. All of that stuff was exciting. But the most exciting part for me, I guess, combined was one that I was going to have an opportunity to play more because there just wasn't that opportunity with Mike Smith in Arizona. But mostly I was going to get an opportunity to play, and I knew this was a really good hockey team. This was not going in, getting traded to a team that, I'm going to get to play, but I'm going to get peppered and not, have to stand on my head or just kind of play out the year. This was going to a team that was a really good, really well-built hockey team that it was seriously underperforming. So I was going to get a chance to play, but also play behind an incredibly good team. And they were ready to end the drought that they'd been on. And I was just perfect timing, jumped in there, and we took off. I don't need to tell you the whole story. Played 38 in a row, and we made the playoffs when I think we had a 2% chance of making it. So everything was great there, and that was a much different feeling getting traded to Minnesota. A lot more excitement with the opportunity and kind of the direction my season was going. I got traded to Nashville when my season was going like this. I got traded to Minnesota when my season was going like that. So two very different things, but trades are always difficult. That one worked out, changed my life. I'm sitting here still in Minnesota with a family of 5, and things are great. All right, next question's from our good friend Lance Kane. Hashtag Ask Dubey. One of your earlier episodes, you talked about how some goalies wear pads that bounce the puck out harder than other pads. There's been a lot of talk about Ingram and his big rebounds. Is Ingram the style of goalie that likes to bounce pucks out past players, or is he just giving up big rebounds? Lots of sides of this. The rebounds and the pads thing is not a new thing. This was a technology that changed the way they built pads. Years ago back, I was playing when this technology and this thought process changed. It was changing the idea of going from trying to dampen rebounds off of pads because hard shots are then sitting kind of out in the slot. If you get a hard one off the pads and it dampens that rebound, it's still going to be going out, but it's sitting kind of in the danger area. And so the thought process when this technology changed, and it's just gotten better and better and better, is you almost want this thing slingshotting off of these pads borderline quicker than it came out. Now, you can get into trouble with that if it comes out and goes directly to a guy. But again, the idea is that this puck comes in and hits the pad, and it's coming out just as fast as it comes in. Unless it hits a guy tape to tape, they're probably not going to handle it. And if they do get it, unless it's right on their tape, you're going to have a split second to recover and try to get over there. So that technology's been around for a long time. That's not a new thing. As far as the talk about his big rebounds, I haven't heard about it. I haven't exactly been looking for it. So maybe it's out there. I would just say that in such a short sample size, it's probably not something to really dive into and look at too seriously. I think as games go on, there's plenty of advanced statistics that can look into whether or not he's giving out more rebounds than his peers. As far as a goalie being vulnerable to give up rebounds, I think that just dives into a deeper conversation about stance and how we're looking at the puck and how you're going down in a butterfly, how you're seeing it come into your body, into your pads. And I don't know if that's the case for him. But again, I would think that it's with such a small sample size, not something to be too concerned about, especially with the way that Ingram's been playing along with Jarry recently. Just keep letting him do his thing. Okay, next question from Michael Yurchak. Hashtag Ask Dubey, why do you feel like there's a shift away from elite Canadian goaltending? Seems as if the pipeline is coming from Europe as of late and doesn't seem to be slowing down. Good question. I would say you could argue the pipeline's coming from Europe and the United States, if you want to throw that in there. Deep question. I think that there's a combination of things here. I think that one, the whole hockey world is producing elite level goaltending now. But I think if you look at it, the approach of the European side of the Russian goalies, the training that goes into it, I think it's a different approach. And the things that the skating, I mean, you look at the Russian goalies, the Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, Sorokin, Bobrovsky, and Bob's getting older, so he's been doing this for a long time, but their skating ability and their power through their skating is just different. And so I don't know if you can get over there and figure out what they're doing, but they're doing something different and something right. But there's the goalies from all over getting better. I think with the Canadian side of it, there does need to be a look at because it has dropped off a little bit, and that's not saying anything about anybody specifically, because there's of course good goaltenders here and there, but doesn't seem to be the same level and consistency of what it has been. So again, that's a deep dive to get into, down to how are we developing our goaltenders, both as a whole, but also through the Canadian program. Where's the development going through Hockey Canada, through that program, and why are we not getting the top goaltenders coming out of this? There's going to be years that it doesn't happen, but when we're consistently not having the top goaltenders coming out of Canada, then it's a look into the development side, and what are we doing? What are we teaching them? How are we teaching them all this training stuff? I mean, the game's changed now from when I was playing as far as everything that's available, what's expected of the kids, how they train, all of these things. And something needs to be looked at when it comes to that, because it certainly feels like it has changed. So that's really where that goes. And that combined with other countries having more kids coming and playing, producing more goalies, it's of course going to water down the Canadian amount of Canadian goalies that actually get to the top anyway. But it is seemed to be noticeable now that those super high-end guys don't seem to be coming out of Canada. So whoever's coming up in the Canadian system, please make me stick my foot in my mouth, and hopefully in the next year or so I see somebody coming out on the top. All right, on to the next one from Tommy44. What do the Oilers do with their goalies at full health? Could they run 3 goalies? This might sound very similar to a question I dove into last week, and that's because it is, and that's because my opinion has changed. This is a great situation for the goalies. I said last week that you got to understand, as a backup goalie, bring certain things to the rink. I said they should keep Pickard because he's loved and he works hard and he brings all that stuff to practice. Now, in a short period of time, we've got an incredible goalie tandem going back and forth with Ingram and Jarry. And at the end of the day, this is the best situation you could hope for a couple reasons. One, Ingram has now had an opportunity to come in and actually succeed. He wasn't thrown in when nobody could stop the puck, and he was thrown in as the guy to save the sinking ship. When you haven't played in the NHL for a long time and you're in one of the most pressure-heated places you can be, to just throw in and say, hey, save our season, that's not giving him an opportunity to succeed. And now he's had a chance to come in. He's played games, he's spotted games, and now the Oilers are playing better, but he's also got a partner who's playing great, and they're both playing great together. Now we're seeing his potential, and he was put in a place to succeed. You have the ideal situation for Edmonton right now is two goalies playing at a high level. You could say pushing each other. I don't really like to look at that because I don't think they're looking at this as a competitive, trying to win starts off of each other. If you can have two guys playing high-level hockey and winning hockey games in a market like Edmonton, who is expecting to win a Stanley Cup right now, there's been a lot of talk throughout the year with the goalies. They finally made a move. Now you have two guys sharing the load. You're sharing the pressure. You're sharing all of this, the wins, the losses, every single part of it. It's 50% now. You're sharing it with somebody else. You've got a team, you've got a tandem, and it's easier to get through, to have the highs and continue the highs, and it's also easier to navigate the lows. When things do go off, you've got a guy that can come in and help, a guy you can talk to, all of these things, and this is an ideal situation for Edmonton. Now, I don't think they do anything with Pickard. I don't think you should do anything with Pickard if it's possible with roster spots and salary cap, which you'd think it would be with Pickard's salary. Now it just comes down to roster spots. Is I would carry 3 because we're talking about a very condensed schedule, first of all, after the Olympic break coming up. You got Tristan Jarry, who has unfortunately had injury history, and just most recently with the Oilers. So you want to have a guy who's NHL ready to come in if that happens, but mainly with the practice schedule. You want to be able to go out and practice. You want an NHL goalie for your players in practice, and it also gives the opportunity for the other two goalies, whoever's been playing, whoever played the night before, to not need to go on the ice and get hit by pucks. Going out for an optional practice for players is completely different than going out for a goalie. You can go out there and buzz around, get a sweat, toe drag, twirl some pucks, take some one-timers. It's great. That's fun. I don't blame the guys. Sounds great. You don't get to do that as a goalie. You go out on the ice, you're getting hit by pucks. You're getting hit by 90-mile-an-hour shots. Your knees are hitting the ice. There's tension on your hips, all this stuff. There's no such thing as a twirl for goalies. So you're better off to stay off of the ice towards this stretch run and keep yourself fresh for the playoffs. And having 3 goalies around allows them to do that. Not everybody is put in this situation. I was fortunate enough to be in this situation when I got traded to Minnesota. We had Nicholas Backstrom and Darcy Kemper. I never had to go on the ice and practice when I wasn't playing on a non-game day. I played the game. I came to the rink the next day and did maintenance and hung out with the guys. I went home, came to the rink the next day, pregame skated and played the game. And it continued like that. But if I didn't have 2 other NHL goalies that could go out there and practice, then I would have felt pressure to go on the ice, and I would have gone on the ice. So I think this is a great situation for Edmonton. I don't think they should do anything with Pickard. I don't think they should move him. He's obviously well-loved in the room, but to have Ingram and Jarry playing the way they are, it's just a great situation all around. That's it for another episode of Ask Dubey. Thanks for tuning in. As always, don't forget to submit your questions with the hashtag Ask Dubey on any social media platform, or just drop them in the comment section below of this video with the hashtag Ask Dubey. Keep the questions coming in. I absolutely love when we kick off the week with a whole bunch of questions to pick from. And if we don't answer your question, we put it in the bank for another week. So keep them coming in. This segment was brought to you by our friends at Wilhauk Beef Jerky. Only the finest tasting meat products are in the Wilhauk name. Made from 100% pure Alberta beef, Wilhauk Beef Jerky is aged, seasoned, marinated, and smoked to savory perfection. It is so good. Wilhauk Beef Jerky gladly fills orders of any size. Find their beef jerky, sausage, and other products exclusively out of their Leduc location, or you can order online. Get your jerky on. For more info, go to wilhaukbeefjerky.com.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.